If you weren't the owner of the car, you had no right to sell it. An amazing deal is too good to be true. If she hadn't gotten me the title, I would say, maybe there's a problem. I've never had anyone do this in 30 years that I've been dealing in the car industry. Now, these sellers try to switch gears. It seems to be his thing is to scam people. You sold a car that you didn't own. That's a scam. He came to my house and threatened me. Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. Stephen Rogers is suing Valerie Gallegos and her son, 18-year-old Milton Chapman, for defrauding him regarding the sale of a car. Order. All rise. Provide the courtroom. This case, number 7 on the calendar. The matter of Rogers versus Gallegos. Chapman. Thank you. You're welcome. Judge, the party's been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat. Mr. Rogers, you saw a car advertised on Craigslist. Yes, ma'am. And it was a non-running car. Yes, ma'am. 2007 Hyundai Sonata. Yes, ma'am. And you purchased it from the defendants for $500. Yes, ma'am. According to you, you towed it. Yes, ma'am. Because you do mechanical work. Yes, ma'am. I've been doing it for 30 years. And you figured that you could put it back into working condition and it would be fine. Was the body good on it? All except for a scrape on the passenger side. But everything else looked okay. Yes, ma'am. And you paid them the $500. And according to you, which one of the defendants told you that they would get you the title in a week. It was with a family member. They both were on that promissory note. Both of them said the same thing. Both of them. Valerie actually said it first. But he was, Valerie, your last name is Gallegos. It's Gallegos. Whose car is it? It's my son's. And where did you get it from? My cousin. When did you get it from your cousin? I honestly don't remember. How much before you sold it? How much? My mom bought it for $3,000, and she gave it to me. Your mother bought it for $3. This medicine. When did you purchase it? Around March of 16. Fempris? Varitan. So you drove the car until it stopped running? Yes. And when did it stop running? About the 24th of February. So from March 2014 until February of 2016, you drove the car? Yes. And it was insured? Yes. In whose name? In my name. So the car had to be registered? Yes. In whose name? It was... Don't look down. You've been looking at me square in the eye. In whose name was it registered? It was registered in my cousin's name still. Why was it registered in your cousin's name? If your mother bought it from your cousin for $3, why was it still in cousin's name? Because he got it in the divorce. But he was unaware that his wife had to sign the papers over for him to have full ownership of the car. There isn't a question in my mind that this is the first time that he's hearing about your cousin's divorce and the community property. You told him about your cousin's divorce. Yes, I did. What did they tell you? When I showed up to purchase the car, I seen the car advertised on Craigslist. No. Don't go back to the beginning. Okay, I've already been at the beginning. I want to know whether Miss Gallegos told you that she didn't have the title to the car because it was in her cousin's name and his ex-wife. Exactly what she told me was the car belonged to her and him. It was given to her by her cousin, and she would have the title for me within a week. She did not go into a story telling me about anything else. No way. Because you wouldn't have given her a penny for the car. Because I wouldn't have given her a penny for the car. Because I know that I would never get the ex-wife to sign over that title. So what you were doing, you were driving the car with your cousin's permission, knowing full well that you were not the owner of the car. Yes, ma'am. And if you weren't the owner of the car, you had no right to sell it. How old are you? 80? Yeah. Then you had no right to sell it. You're an adult. Were you 18 when you sold him the car? Yes. Ma'am. Then it's your problem. Now, the only question is, he's not suing for the $500 back. Because he says when he got the car, he immediately started to work on it. And he put in a lot of work. Is the car now running? Yes. Ma'am. It is running. Yes. Ma'am. When you say it's running, how far do you live from them? Approximately 10 miles. So it's running so that you can drive it to their house. Of course. Great. Now, I want to see the bills. What you put into the car. Yes, ma'am. Can I say something? What? He called me 3 weeks later and asked me about the title. I said I was unable to get it. But because I'd had other offers on the car, as soon as he purchased it, I was still getting calls. And I had other offers. You have no right to sell it. It's not yours. My cousin gave me permission. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. No, he can't give you permission to sell it. Because the car is owned by he and his wife. Well, actually, it's just his, well, if it's just his, Because he can't get a hold of his wife. Won't answer his calls. That's the whole problem. Is there something wrong with you, Miss Callejos? No, that's the truth. What does that have to do with an unsuspecting buyer? We told him all the circumstances. No, I don't believe a word of that. It's the honest-to-God truth. I don't believe a word that you told him that the cousin could not get him a title to this car because he couldn't get a hold of his ex-wife and therefore cannot get a clean title to this car. And yet, he took the car and got it into running order. He also called each and every one of my cousins with the last name Vigil. He also told them that he's got Becky, which is the woman's name, the ex-wife. He's got her name, her address, her phone number, her married name. Why doesn't he get a hold of the woman and get it changed over? He has all the information. I couldn't even get that information. What you're suggesting is laughable. I couldn't even get that information. I didn't know how. I don't know what her married name is. What you are suggesting is ridiculous. What I'm telling you is your son, who is an adult, had no right to sell the car because he didn't own it. Okay, it's not against the law. I don't know. This is bodywork done. A minor scratch? I don't care about a minor scratch. He's suing her for $3 from 100. There's the bill right there for the engine I bought. Also, here's the picture. Just a second. Ma'am, when he came to my house and threatened me, which is what my countersuit is about. But when he came to my house and threatened me, he told me right then and there that he had bought a $1 600 engine in the file that he is suing me with. All of a sudden, it's a $2 Ownerless engine. It's in $1. Honest, I don't believe it. And he told me $1 600. Just a second. I don't believe it. I believe he put some money in the car to get it running, and you have to return his money to him. And what I consider reasonable, because I absolutely believe that you told her one thing, and then this says something else. I have $125 to fix a scratch in the paint. What else? I paid $800 for the motor. The receipt is right there? Yes, ma'am. I also purchased the whole vehicle in order for it to get to parts. Submitted. Would you do me a favor? Bird, would you look up what a 2? Ownerless? I have that right here. No, 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 no. 2007 Hyundai Sonata in poor condition. Not good. Not fair. Not poor because it wasn't running. What the price is? 27 Hyundai Sonata. $3. 227. Poor condition. It doesn't have poor condition. What does it have? It has good. It has very good. It has lending. And it has suggested retail, the lowest of which is $3. Due into 2500. Well, so you put in, according to you, $3. Be mistered? Yes, ma'am. Into a car that wasn't even running. The blue book value on that vehicle, ma'am, is $4. 100. Okay, great. It seems to be his thing is to scam people. Go buy cars and then make that thing. Let me explain something to you. No, no, no. Let me explain something to you. This is a scam. You sold a car that you didn't own. That's a scam. You sold a car that you didn't own. That he's inflating what he's put into the car. I absolutely agree with you that it's an inflated price that nobody with a brain spends more money. But you sold a car that you didn't own. You can't do that and then say, well, my cousin can't get a hold of his ex-wife. He should get a hold of the ex-wife. No. Well, he told her. He called my family and told all of them that he had all this information. Listen to me carefully. You scammed him out of a lot of money. The $500 that he paid for the car. And he did put money into the car because he's going to drive the car back to you. And when he drives the car back to you, because we're going to make this as whole as possible, then you're going to give him $2. Fine. That is what I think is a reasonable amount that a reasonable man would have put into this 10-year-old Hyundai Sonata that was not running when you bought it. But you don't get that. Listen to me. But you don't get that money until you drive the car to their house. That is my order. Do you understand the order? I understand. If you want to see, because you can't be an idiot when you buy a car without a title. Until I got the title. I wouldn't put $3.00 into it. Ma'am, I never knew this was coming to court. Can I speak? Please. Just a second. I understand exactly what happened. What is different? I wouldn't, as a reasonable person, buy a car for $500 that wasn't running and proceed to put in $3 lesso in the car in 2 weeks before I had the title. Ma'am, before I had the title, can I speak? Sure you can. Okay. Thank you. When I purchased the car from them, I purchased it originally thinking that I was going to fix it up for my daughter. I realized that the car was worth $4. 100 is what it's worth. I actually bought it for $5. I purchased the engine and a whole vehicle for $1. $800, so I could take and actually resell the parts from that vehicle? I have all that here. I don't care. Okay, listen to me. I don't care. That is unreasonable. No, the engines for those cars run $2. Yes, lawyer. I have the paperwork right here. You're not following what I'm saying. Sir, Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today, that was the day that I was supposed to return the bike to Steven. And the bike got in contact. No, that's the day you decided to return the bike. You should have returned it on November 26th. I stayed in contact with him. I don't care whether you stayed in contact with him. I don't care whether you slept under his bed. Real cases. Real people. Judge Judy. Stephen Rogers says Valerie Gallegos and her son Milton Chapman defrauded him regarding the sale of a car. The defendants are countersuing for threats and harassment. I don't care whether you spent it or whether you didn't. It was unreasonable for you to spend it, and expect them to compensate you for it. Now, I am giving you what I consider reasonable compensation for being not too swift and putting in any money into the car until you had a title. I've never had anyone do this in 30 years that I've been dealing in the car industry. This is the paperwork on how much the engines cost for that vehicle. Listen, Mr. Rogers, I want you to listen to me very carefully. You are not asking for the $500 that you spent. Quiet! You're not asking for the $500 back and you'll return the car. You're asking for 7 times that amount in what would be punitive damages because you say, I spent that much money to get the car up and running, even though I didn't have a title. And I'm saying, I have to therefore make a judgment. How much would it be reasonable for someone to invest in a car for which they had not procured the title? And I'm telling you, I wouldn't invest a dime. I would let the car sit until she said, according to you, I'll get the title for you according to your sworn statement next week. So I would have looked at the non-running car for a week, and in a week, if she hadn't gotten me the title, I would say, maybe there's a problem. Maybe I shouldn't go and spend $3. Zuidos to zero on parts until I get this title. So then another week goes by and she's got another reason. You can't get the title. Now it's another 2 weeks. And instead of looking at the car and saying, something doesn't sound kosher on that side, I'm not going to spend any money. You went and you spent the money. That's too bad for you. You get $2 on $500. As soon as you drive the car to their house, we're done. Your counterclaim is dismissed. Parties are excused when they step out. He lied and I knew he would. Oh, he threatened me. He's a scammer. And now the next case. All parties in the matter of Stoltz-Dickinson versus Pettit-Pelletier step forward. 25-year-olds Wayne Stoltz and co-worker Stephen Dickinson are suing Wayne's former friend, Danielle Petit, and his mother, Michelle Pelletier, for impound fees and the value of motorcycle equipment. Okay, who's the owner of this bike? And what are you doing here? I'm the one who introduced Daniel into Stephen. I don't know why you're a party to this case. I'm a party to this case because I paid for the actual street bike to get out of the impound. And you have proof to show me that. Yes, I do. Fine. And you're the owner of the bike. Yes, ma'am. You sold a bike to him and he agreed to make payments on the bike. So far. Is that correct? You stop shaking your head. You could sit down. You're his mother. You agreed to make payments on the bike. Yes, I did. How much did you purchase the bike for? It was going to be $2. Zero by the time I was done making payments to him. On what date did you agree to purchase the bike? It was the day after Thanksgiving in 2015. Do you remember the date? November 26th? And the purchase was made at your house. Yes! And when were you supposed to make your first payment? The next week. And as a result of this arrangement, did you take possession of the bike? Yes. And where did you take it? Home. To my house. So far. Are we all in agreement? As well with the bike. He also took my helmet, chest protector, and gloves, which I have not received. Okay, so you took your bike to the house. Now it's your bike. Yes. And then what happened? Judge Judy continues in a moment. It sounds to me like you are a totally irresponsible young man. You have his property, and you tell him to go pick it up from my roommate instead of you taking it to his house. That, to me, is irresponsible. They were texting me, threatening me and stuff. I wasn't going to go bring it to him. Real cases. Real people. Judge Judy. Wayne Stoltz and co-worker Stephen Dickinson say Wayne's former friend, Danielle Petit, is responsible for his motorcycle getting impounded. Okay, and then what happened? Well, when I got home, my mom kind of says, hey, what are you thinking? You just had a newborn son. You don't need a street bike. And I kicked it around a little bit. And I called Stephen immediately. And I said, it really isn't a good idea for me to keep this. I got it. I was excited. And I wanted the bike. And basically, I made a mistake. So I told him that I wanted to return it. I was going to return it that weekend. Okay, So you were going to return it, but you didn't return it that weekend. I didn't. No, you did not. You kept it in your house. Yes, for one more week. Keep going. Okay, the day that I was going to return the bike, me and Mr. Stultz, we went to Denny's for breakfast. On our way home from Denny's, I got pulled over for no registration on the bike, and the police impounded it. He was following me. Actually, on our way home, that was the day that I was supposed to return the bike to Steven, and the bike got impounded. No, that's the day you decided to return the bike to Steven. If you decided on November 26th that you didn't want the bike, you should have returned it on November 26th. I stayed in contact with him at home. I don't care whether you stayed in contact with him. I don't care whether you slept under his bed. If you decided you didn't want the bike on November 26th, you should have returned it on November 26th if you would have agreed. Because by the time you took the bike home and had a discussion with your mother, that contract was completed. There was no written contract. There doesn't have to be a written contract. Sir? Okay, you made an arrangement with him to purchase a piece of property, not real property, personality, which doesn't have to be in writing. And you took possession. Stop playing with the papers. It distracts me. And you took possession of the property. So you exercise dominion and control over the property that you just purchased. So there doesn't have to be a written contract. If there was a written contract for everything, I'd be out of business. I also found out, though, that it was not his bike. It wasn't registered to him. It wasn't even his bike. Show me. Show me. Okay, show me. If what you're saying is that he didn't have the authority to sell the bike because he wasn't the registered owner, I'm willing to see anything that you have. I don't have anything, but he wasn't the registered owner. That's supposed to be something that you can prove, but that's really not your defense. Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by Want Justice. Go to Judge Judy. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Now, your defense to this whole thing is that you had a discussion with your mother. You changed your mind. Instead of returning the bike right away when you changed your mind, which you would agree to accept it back. You kept it in your house for over a week, and you probably used it because you rode the bike to Denny's? Yes. So you exercised dominion control and you used it? Yes. And you hadn't paid anything. And when you used it, the bike was impounded because it hadn't been registered. Yes. By you. Yes. Okay. You have the bike now. Yes. And you're going to sell it? Yes. The bike wasn't damaged in any way. No. So it's the impound fees that we're talking about. Correct. And how much were the impound fees? The impound fee was $800 plus. I'd like to see it. Okay. And also on the next page. And that was to release the hold from the police station. Okay. Now, what happened with the helmet, the gloves, or the chest protector? I'm not sure. I thought that they had got them. I left Wayne a message. I told him to come and pick them up from my roommate as far as I knew that he got them. You know, it sounds to me I left them at my house while I was at work. What's your last name? Petit. Mr. Petit. It sounds to me like you are a totally irresponsible young man. Okay, I'm going to tell you why. You take the bike to your mother's house to show her the bike. You have his property, and you didn't return the bike on time when you changed your mind. You returned it a week later after you drove it. And then the helmet, the gloves, and the chest protector. You tell him to go pick it up from my roommate instead of you taking it to his house, and that, to me, is irresponsible. They were texting me, threatening me and stuff. I wasn't going to go bring it to him. Take it to a police station. Okay, judging from the plaintiff and the amount of $1, we're done. You may step out. Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy, I was trying to get a hold of these guys to get that bike registered, to get it out of the impound lot. I believe that justice was served. You know, he does live at home with his mother. For 2 weeks, and they didn't do it. His mother did make the decision for him, so I said I wasn't going to pay it. He is white trash. Oh, they were harassing me up and down, texting me, telling me I'm a deadbeat father. Just like Judge Judy said. Prove it. They were texting me all kinds of bad stuff. You know, there are no threats. I stopped talking to them. And there we are. You win some, you lose some, and that's it. Yeah, just listen to your mom. I guess